here on the counter. It was available for that 100, and we went ahead and designed it for the PR2 as well. Those are the new wheel bearings, and the little bearing in the center is for the tricycle gear that we hope is coming shortly. Vicki, do you know the weight of the whole assembly? She says with the castings and everything, it's approximately 30 pounds. It's within a half a pound of being the same as the retract gear. We weighed them with, with both the fixed and the retract, and I think a lot of your extra weight with the fixed is with a larger axle. It's got the hydraulic wheels and brakes, and they're a little bit heavier than the mechanical would be. So it's maybe half a pound heavier than the retract. Yes. Okay, she's saying it's without the wheels and brakes, both of them, but it's within half a pound of the 2 gears. Any other questions? Well, I'd like to turn it over to Jim Pond and let him go on with it.
We've got a number of planes out here that haven't said anything. Tim, Scott, why don't you come up and tell us about your KR1.5 and why you call it a half, and what you've done different to it. Can you do that for us?
I'm Ken Cobble. I'm from Columbia, Missouri, and the KR1.5 is the plane that I flew in and built, and the name apparently I think was tagged by Dan Deal. I had built the KR in mind that I would put the wing skins that he built, and then we talked him into doing a video so that I'd get plenty of professional help and could get them on real fast. And as we were doing the tape, he kind of looked at it and looked around and said, well, it's not a KR1 and it's not a KR2, it must be a KR1.5. And so it stuck by that name. I had trouble with the insurance company because they kept wanting to know what the half meant, and the FAA kept looking around for a half seat somewhere, so I probably should have stuck with the KR1. It took 27 months to build, and I completed it the spring of '87. I've been to Oshkosh twice, and this is my second trip to Covington. Since last year, I put an Ellison carburetor on it, which has improved the performance a great deal, and I prefer that over any of the other carburetors that I've put on it. This winter I'm looking for a project, Steve Bennett's update for an 1835 to increase it to the 2180 to get a little bit more performance so that the climb will increase, and also so that I'll pick up an additional 20 miles per hour. I'm not real deep into aerobatics, but I do enjoy messing around, and I think that additional performance would really be a great big help. I'm not real sure what you would like to know. You have any questions about the plane that anybody would like to ask? I get a 140 mile an hour cruise. I have a Loran mode C and transponder. It stalls around 52, and it actually doesn't brake until it gets down around 45, and when the stall breaks, it breaks straight forward, and actually it'll kind of mush like a Cherokee 140 if you keep all things straight. I really don't do a lot of stalling because that's just a little bit too slow for me anyway. Airplane is 800 and 500. Must be 553, thereabouts. I would certainly like to have a good pair of scales to reweigh it. No, I ran it for about 6 months with the gravity feed, and it ran real good. And I put a fuel pump on it and found out it even runs better. So I have it hooked up so that it will, with a check valve and a gravity feed in case of electrical problem or fuel pump failure, then it will continue to run off of the gravity feed. But when you put it in a climb out or steeper maneuvers, the fuel pump just makes it operate a whole lot better. Any other questions? Well, I started with the Super Posa carburetor and took it off, and I had 2 Ellison carburetors, and went back to the Super Posa and got it to running pretty well, but there's inherent problems from what I'm no real technical, but it depends on how much fuel you had in the tank as to how much fuel pressure you have in the carburetor, and so there was things were continually changing. Where on the Ellison you don't have that problem. Any other questions? I do have EGT, and I monitor both left and right exhaust stacks. They run, normally cruise around 1,300, mine are, and I think it depends on how close to the exhaust it actually is. The one of them will indicate about 100 hotter than the other, or a little less than 100 difference. And I also have 4 CHTs so that I can monitor all 4 cylinders. I found that they all 4 don't necessarily have to run this thing. No, I do not. I don't find a lot of difference in anything between high cruise and full throttle, even the speed bias. Slow flight on EGT, there are times, seems to me like on climb out, they'll tend to go up close to 1,400 with the full rich mixture. And I can actually, I don't know, it sounds like you're getting on the back side of the mixture, but I can lean it out and actually EGT will cool down some. And the cylinder head temperature doesn't go up. So I'm assuming that it's just getting a more economical mixture. If you put too much fuel, too rich, it tends to burn too hot. Too lean, it'll get hot and then cool off again from what I understand. So I'm not real sure. I do have a pressure regulator. I've mounted both the fuel pump and the pressure regulator between the tank and the gascolator. And I put the fuel pressure regulator, and it's regulated somewhere between 2 and 6 pounds. When you put your finger over it, it runs. It squirts about that far. I don't know what the pressure is, but it's light, but it's not so strong that the gascolator won't hold the pressure. I don't imagine it's any greater than if it was like on a Cessna 172 or something, probably around 2 to 5 pounds, something like that. It just takes it for that you get a good constant supply. It's made a big difference. Any other questions? Thank you for asking. I've certainly enjoyed flying here.
Mike Helms? Here? Mike? No? Herb? Where are you at? Herb Bull? He went to town. Okay, what about Eldon? Is Eldon here? Yeah, there he is. Why don't you come over here and tell us about your airplane, Eldon?
Well, sitting out there, I built it along with a friend of mine, Jim Wally, money than me here today. Some of you here, I think he was here a couple years ago. We really spent about 4 years building this airplane. Really only took 3 because he had a heart attack and was out for quite a while, and I just flat got burned out on it, and just kind of left it set for about a year, and that's really, it was when it was about 90% complete too. So for some reason I could never visualize it flying then, or amounting to that much. And if I had to do over again, I'd buy wing skins. There must be 1,000 hours of sanding on those wings. But it's a lot of fun to fly, and if you're building one, hang in there, because it's well worth it. And something you get a lot of enjoyment out of, and I'm no different than a lot of other guys that's flown them. They're a little short coupled and a little squirrely, and I'd not had any tail dragger time, and there wasn't any tail draggers in my area that I could really get any time in. And I read this article in Sport Aviation, how if you had a converted auto engine and an untested airplane and low time pilot and no tail dragger time, which I was all of those, why the worst thing you could do was fly your own airplane. Don't do it. And I guess probably showed my stubbornness because I did it anyway. I did not taxi at 90 miles an hour. I did not taxi without the wings on. But I did go out and probably taxied about 3 hours, I suppose, not all at one time, but about the first half hour, that was about all I could take right then, and it was so squirrely that I wondered if, what have I done here? Built something I can't fly? Because I was all over the runway too, but after about another hour, there's kind of that transition period there from, about the speed that you start to get the tail up, that the rudder's not real effective and neither is the tail wheel. And of course now I've gotten to where you just, you give it full throttle and you zing right on through that period, which is way the easiest, and rather than to try to feel your way through it. But if you've never done it before, why, feeling your way through it is probably the best. But about 3 hours time, and first flight came on May the 10th, about 9 o'clock in the morning of this year. And believe it or not, it was a perfect flight and perfect landing. I couldn't believe it myself. I greased it on and just, I don't know if I've ever made that good a landing since or not, but that first one was good. It's got a Limbach engine in it. Weighs about 546. Here again, probably if you were to weigh it right now, I've probably added a few more little things, and it's probably a little heavier than that, but that was originally in a way. I have generally cruised around 150 in a shallow dive. I've seen 190 on it. It feels real good, and I really enjoy flying it. Mike, I can feel for anybody that's had landing problems. I might tell you my story. It may save you a landing gear failure sometime. quite that short couple either. And I took her out with me we went to go taxi and let her taxi. And I had to straighten her out a couple of times when it got a little bit crossways, and she was getting onto it. Things were going quite well, and I was on the left side where the brakes was. She was running it from the right side. Have center stick and dual throttles and dual rudder pedals. But she was doing quite well, and I got relaxed. I guess I should have been more of the instructor type, and I wasn't, so it was partially my fault too. But at the Manhattan Airport, where we had a 7,000-foot runway, and you start out there and just taxiing down the runway, well, you've got quite a little runway there to play with. You're just taxiing, and I was sitting there all relaxed, just looking out the side, and she didn't have the tail up, so she couldn't see over the front. And all at once, in a white elevated voice, she says, "Stop this thing!" I looked up, and the lights at the end of the runway were right in front of me. Got hydraulic disc brakes. I built the Happy latch system with the pins that stick out, spring-loaded pins that stick out to the sides, which is a very good system, I think. Built it out of the 6061 T6 aluminum, like the plans call for. But in that situation, I got right on those brakes. Believe me, I got right on them brakes. And the brackets that come up from the spring bar that hold those bolts or pins, whichever you want to call them, that aluminum, those just twisted around. The inboard part of them is twisted around to let them bolts come at an angle and then just pull right out of the holes. And of course, gear folded up. If you're wondering how much a crankshaft is for a Limbach engine, it's $928. So $2,000 later, and the emotional letdown and the physical letdown and everything else with it, have on that Limbach have the Happy tube exhaust system, which bolted on there quite well. But that kind of felt the crunch and a few other things. So anyway, I rebuilt that system out of 4130 chrome moly and bolted back on top of there. And also the arches with the holes in them that those pins go in out there, those are out of chrome moly now. And it actually works better than it did before because the bolt's sliding against the aluminum before, and that aluminum tends to gall a little bit, and then the holes will, the 4130 just seems a lot better way to go than that, than the aluminum. That's about it, I guess. Mine is fit pretty close. Now, I read that article in the KR newsletter where it said you ought to take them out a little bit. Do you have yours is made out of aluminum, isn't it? Made out of steel. Yeah. Started down here yesterday from Junction City, Kansas, and got to about West Plains, Missouri, and the sky seemed to meet the ground, and I stayed all night in Lebanon last night. Any other questions? Thank you.
Not the oldest, but as the oldest plane flying is definitely here today. Somewhere well over 1,000 hours, I think, to keep track of. But Dan has an airplane business. He sells the wing skins, and I'm sure he's got a lot he can share with us. So welcome, Mr. Dan Deal of N4 PD, right? Great.
questions? After introduction like that. Most of you know me, I've been around forever. About the only thing I've done since y'all have seen me last year is I put in the Type 4 engine. And there's been I've heard a lot of people wanting to go the Type 4 route and everything like that. It's a really nice engine. I think in the long run it's going to prove to be a very reliable engine. Everything in it's kind of beefy and meaty, and one thing I really noticed was how much cooler the cylinder head temperatures will run. It got more fins on them, things like that. It's designed to produce more power. And you don't have to, at 2600 cc, it doesn't seem like it's working as hard as the 2180. But really, I think a 2180 is a whole lot of engine for the KR, and really plenty. So if you're already kind of headed in that direction, I'd just stay that way. When I had the 2180 in mind to go to the Type 4, I spent another $3,500 to do it, and since I already had a good motor, I wouldn't spend another $3,500 to do the Type 4. It isn't worth that much more. If you don't have any motor at all, you might take a good look at it, because I think it's going to be a good one. Really, I put that engine in there because I'm testing it so I can put it in a new airplane that I'm kind of building, sort of working on it once in a while. So anyway, I'll probably end up putting my 2180 back in Old Blue. The only other thing that we've really done or experimented much with this year is we've been playing with landing gears just a little bit. Seems to be a trend back towards the fixed gear. And I was really after some kind of real lightweight gear. The stock landing gear is fairly heavy. The aluminum spring bars are getting, there's kind of a lot of weight there too. And I was after something that you could spring it pretty hard and it would come back and not be sprung, if that makes sense. So anyway, Marty Roberts, we put our first one on there. We ran some load tests on the fiberglass gear. I have pictures here if you want to see them later of the load test going on. And we put 2.5 Gs on it and flexed it 3 inches. And the design on the thing is to go to about 5 inches before it would break. So at 2.5 Gs, we were a little past halfway on what it would be good for, but we had a 2,000-pound come-along, and we were bending the handle on it. So we couldn't get any more pressure with our come-along to get more weight hanging on the thing. Now, we've also, as some of you already heard, we built a little tricycle gear. It's going to be a fixed tricycle gear and real easily adaptable, just a bolt-on arrangement where it would tie onto the 2 lower engine mount bolts and to the firewall. Just a few bolts and a little bit of drilling, and you have this thing mounted in 15 minutes. And it worked really neat. We had a little casting. It was a full castering affair, and the fiberglass main gear, and with hydraulic brakes for steering, just like the Grumman series airplanes, the Tigers and Yankees and Cheetahs, all of those. They use brakes for steering. It worked really neat because you can pull right up in this little slot right here, lock one brake, turn right around it, and go right back out. You turn on a dime. Really kind of neat that way. But anyway, it was going to be here. Some of you remember Bob Passmore's airplane. He lives in Boulder City, Nevada. Has for about 3 years and hadn't been back to Tulsa to fly his airplane, so he sold it recently to a guy that lives in Tulsa who bought it for his son who lives in Florida. Okay? So I convinced the old man that this kid who has barely 100 hours over the last 5 years and hadn't flown very much, nothing besides a 150, that he was probably going to knock the gear right out from under this stock gear out of the KR. If he came up here, he's going to make a couple of flights and then head for Florida in it. I said he'll never make it there, so we really should put the tricycle gear in it. Okay, so we spent about a week putting the tricycle, really a good weekend is all it took to put it all in. We took it all apart Friday, and then Saturday morning we put all the gear bolted in, and we were flying it, it was Monday or Tuesday, I guess. Time we got the paint and everything on it. Anyway, and I flew it, and everything was great. Land on the mains, and you let it roll out, and then you let it easy down on the nose. Well, the kid that was flying it, I flew with him a couple of times, and he made me sick just once around the pattern, all of this action. I thought, this guy doesn't really have a feel for it, so I made him make a full stop landing. And actually, I flew it 3 times before I let him get in the left seat and try it. And then I put Steve Alderman. This was just like yesterday morning, and the airplane was doing great. And, Bob's airplane, little hot rod. In fact, all of your T-shirts, that's Bob Passmore's airplane. So anyway, the guy had made several landings with Steve, and Steve was shaking his head thinking this guy really does not have a grip on this airplane at all. Just terribly pilot-induced oscillation. It would start up, and it's like 1, 2, 3. It hits the brain. I need to push forward on the stick before we stall. And now we're going down. Whoops, I overdid it. Diving at the earth. 1, 2, 3. I better pull back before we crash. Just way behind it. It's kind of like someone turned the lights on, okay? And so anyway, he came in, he made 2 or 3 of these before he hit the runway, and on the third one he just dove it straight in. And it wiped out the nose gear right down the nose, slid along the nose. This was about 2 o'clock yesterday, and we're trying to teach him how to fly this so he can fly to Covington with us and then go on to Florida tomorrow. Probably saved his life because of the crap that we flew through getting here last night. We'd have lost him anyway. So anyway, so our fixed tri-gear that's going to be a real simple, fairly inexpensive mod that I think would be easy to do isn't here because of that. But anyway, because he drove it into the ground, we found the weak link. You know, everything has a weak link, no matter what it is. This thing here has a weak link. Okay, it may be strong enough, but somewhere it will break. Well, we found out where it breaks, and so we'll beat that up. And we did a real good load test on the main gear, but haven't done the nose gear. This was kind of a, look, we got a week to go type of deal. And so I don't know how many G's the nose gear was good for before it broke, but I do have some more of those castings that we are going to load test now and break when the airplane gets put back together. And so we'll know what we got there anyway. But it's, you know, a little bit down the road. But I may convert mine. That thing flew so neat. And, you know, you can sit up there and you can see out of the dash, out of the windshield. You just drive it around kind of like your car. It really took all the work and worry and effort out of flying the little airplane. You know, the toughest part of the KR is getting the darn thing back on the ground. And that just made it a piece of cake. Ought to work real neat like on rough strips and things like that. I think the gear's pretty tough. It's going to be that way. Any questions at this point? Yeah. Flaps. Yeah, he's got flaps, and I made 1 landing with flaps and 2 without. No, you know, as far as designing the airplane, no difference. Well, you know, the flaps are kind of a nice addition since you brought that up, because they really do kind of pitch the nose down without building your speed up. Give you better stability.
Will the landing rollout be any longer?
I wouldn't think so. How good are the brakes? You know, you get on the mains, hold the stick back, and keep it up on the mains and get on the brakes as hard as you can. If that doesn't do it, let it down on the nose and get on some more. Yeah, I don't expect any longer rollout. Yeah.
What did you do with the main?
You mean, how did we make it?
Well, how did you go off something?
Oh, the main gear, I've got some pictures here. If you want me just to pass them around, y'all can look at them while we're talking about this. They're load tested and 2 pictures of them going into Mark Robbins Airport.
Probably about the same way as your original retract deal, wouldn't it?
Well, the castings that we took out, the stock gear, the little hinge castings, the leg castings, and the bar weigh 28 pounds, no bolts. And this whole deal was 14 pounds.
But I'm saying the tri-gear probably wouldn't be any heavier than the original.
Oh, the nose gear weighed 7.5 pounds. Wheel and everything.
You had to suck with that?
Okay, so to balance it out, on the tail dragger version, there's a casting and the gears kind of, then you bolt it to the front of the main spar, just outboard the fuselage, and they kind of go forward at an angle. And then on the tri-gear, you just put them on the back of the spar. Same piece. That's it. All you got to do is get, you know, like an inch behind the FCG limit, so that it doesn't tip back. And if you all get in it and then it tips over backwards, you know you're way out of CG. It's kind of a good measure. I think with 2 of us in there, and the kid was maybe 15 pounds bigger than me, bigger than I can't give you a number, but one of the guys picked up the nose, and you know, you could pick the nose wheel off, and it was maybe 25, 30 pounds up there. Maybe not quite that much. They don't retract. This gear we're talking about is fixed. It doesn't retract. I'm not really trying to sell the gear. I don't know that I'm going to. Talk with Jeanette, she may handle it. It may never come about, but we've got enough parts for 4 of them built. And so it's an experimental deal for now.
Now, he's not, that.
You're talking about the stop gear again. We're talking about our new fixed gear.
Throw your stop gear away. Yeah.
Throw all the stop gear parts away. For the tri-gear. Right, for the tri-gear. And we didn't tie between the front and the rear spar. We're mounted just outboard the fuselage. You'll see in the pictures going around how the thing mounts up. But anyway, we didn't see a problem there. Yeah. Yeah, he was asking me about speed, and Marty goes like crazy. We ran pretty hard coming over here, and he stayed right up there. He's got a smaller engine than I do. He thinks he's indicating less, but he's closed up all the holes in the bottom, so his cabin pressure has changed. And so he's indicating more accurately. He was indicating pretty fast compared to what he was really doing. So it looks like he's going faster, but when you get it up flying next to mine, he's hanging right in there. But he's had it flying in 2 weeks, so, or less. So I think with some wheel pants, I don't think you're going to notice much speed difference. It's hard to say, Bert Rutan everybody used to talk to Bert about, why don't you put retract gear on the mains of your long easy? And he said, the main gear's hanging down there at 180 miles an hour, costing you about 4 miles an hour. And they're way big, long things hanging way down there. So I think at the speeds we're flying, if you're building a fixed tricycle gear airplane, your speed is not your number one criteria. You're after utility in the first place. And so I don't know that's going to cost you 3 or 4 what.
I was waiting there on the Type 4 to
Type 4 compared to the other one. My 2180, as I remember, weighed 178 pounds. And this Type 4 weighs 191 without the carburetor or exhaust or prop. So I've added, 15, 20 pounds or so.
you use stock paper on the crank.
Well, the Type 4 uses a special crankshaft. And it's that special, the big hub from Great Plains. It's got the big bearing in the front. You got to go that route, guys. You just got to. You try to hang it on that little deal that comes on the Type 4 stock crank.
Force 1 bearing.
Force 1 is what it's called, yeah. And he's got something that's kind of little known secret that Steve offers, and he doesn't brag about it. But he's got a special Woodruff key cutter he had made. And you know how the stock Woodruff key in the front, it's flat on the sides and then it's round, it's a half circle. But it's square shouldered in the bottom. He's got one that's got a round bottom to it. It's this way, but it's also, does that make sense? If you look at it from the top, instead of looking like a rectangle, it's shaped like an oval. Okay? And the standard deal, when you gear one up, when you hit the prop, that where the cranks seem to all break is they tear out that keyway because they got a sharp corner and cut at the bottom in there. And the round bottom keyway, Martin Roberts has tested it already, gears it up, tore the engine down, and it didn't tear the keyway at all. So sure, you're going to spend a little money, maybe $80 putting that keyway in, but he didn't have to buy another $500 crankshaft. 800 now. Aren't the name tags a neat deal? People all the time, I'm a real lousy one with names anyway. People, hi Dan, how you doing? I see them once a year. I always feel real bad. Hey Joe, how you doing, guy? And I know you recognize your face. I always feel kind of embarrassed because I never can remember a face. But this has really saved my life today. It helps everybody get to know. You see a name and a face and you start going together. Whoever invented name tags is a smart guy. That's all I've really got unless y'all have something.
been in business now for since 1980. They're both based on the Type 1 engine. The most popular push are the 1835 and the 2180. The Dancer used to have a 2180 in it. It wasn't one of ours. It was depot up. Al Campbell's has a 2180 with two of our parts. Kurt Bowles is a good example of an 1835. Bear in mind they're both based on the type of the Volkswagen Transporter bus, and also what they refer to as the cheap Porsche, which is the 911, 914 Porsche. And because it has that 7-letter word tacked onto it, to give you an example of what the difference is, a connecting rod set for a Type 1 Volkswagen machine to go on a 2180 runs about $128. The Type 4 connecting rod set up to go in a 2600cc Type 4 Porsche engine will run you about $454. And the list goes on. Crankshafts for the Type 1 and the 2180 are roughly $500, and the Type 4 they're roughly $1,000. So you can see what that 7-letter word costs you. It's mainly going to be in the pocketbook. Is it worth it? You know, it depends what you're doing, I really guess. If you're starting out from scratch, the way we're actually trying to sell the Type 4 engine is we have a conversion kit that will convert your Type 4 block into a 2600cc engine. And all you really need, you can buy a complete engine to start with that, because there's a lot of stuff with the engine you're going to need, such as the baffling, the cooling tin that goes underneath the motor. Push rod tube you can use, camshaft you can use if you want. But the primary advantage of it is you need just a good engine case and a good set of cylinder heads, because for the most part that's all you're going to use out of the motor. You can find a good used Type 4 engine for anywhere from $50 up to $300, depending upon who has it, what they know about it, how much they think it's worth. We sell a complete Type 4 engine, which we've never sold one because I'm not interested in really doing that, for about $5,800, which in my mind is just ungodly for what's supposed to be a cheap motor. I really don't try to push that to anybody, but I really like to sell you the conversion kit for that, which is priced at about $3,000, which converts your engines into what you see here. What's the advantage of the Type 4 over the Type 1? Well, some of the advantages, for one, are the exhaust manifolds. If you notice, they don't come out of the front of the cylinders, they're on the bottom of the cylinders. It just makes cowling the front of the engine much simpler. And it reduces the exhaust prop clearance a lot, so you don't have to worry about burning the front of the cowling. One of the other advantages of it, to me, which is probably one of the main advantages, the engine doesn't have it because he apparently has a fuel-your engine case, is they have a fuel pump on it. The fuel pump, instead of being mounted on top of the engine right here like it is on the Type 1, it gets mounted down here on the side of the engine on the Type 4. And it's down, it's out of the way, it's very reliable. If you by chance do have a fuel-your engine case, because there's quite a few number of those around, we can machine your fuel pump into the Type 4. One of my machinists made a jig for it for about $85. He can drill the holes and add the bushes and make the push rod so that you can add the fuel pump to the Type 4, even if you have a fuel-your engine case. Some of the other advantages of Type 4 are the main bearings themselves. The main bearings are roughly 200 thousandths larger in diameter than a Type 1, which makes for a much more rigid crankshaft. Aside from that, the engine case itself, you can either look at one of two ways, as an advantage or a disadvantage. The engine case is 14 pounds heavier than a Type 1 engine case, and it's made out of entirely aluminum, not magnesium. And by weight, in airplanes, we're usually very weight conscious. We don't want weight, but this is one case where the weight really pays off because it just makes for a very solid, durable engine case that for the most part is described by all Volkswagen enthusiasts as what they call bulletproof. It's one of the things that hardly anybody ever has any trouble with is an engine case or an engine case wearing. And in fact, they only make bearings in two oversizes, 20 and 30 thousandths for the Type 4 engine case. In a Type 1 engine, to look like in a Warshawski's catalog or something like that, you see they go clear out to 80 thousandths. And the latest Callaway I have from one of our suppliers, and now have 100,000 main bearing sets. There's not a lot left in the main bearing sets to go that far out in the saddles. If you notice, this also features our Force One prop hub, which is one of the main expenses of the motor. SCAD Enterprises in California makes a special crankshaft for us. It has a straight nose on the camshaft gear, camshaft timing gear forward rather than a step-down nose like it is on a Type 1 or a Type 4. And by doing that and a few other things they do for it, it brings the cost of the crankshaft up to roughly $900. And then on top of that, we don't have to put a keyway in it, so we install a round bottom keyway, as Dan was mentioning earlier, which adds another $85. For by the time you're done, you have $1,000 in the crankshaft alone in Type 4 engines. Oh, it's a very hefty crankshaft, yeah. Yeah, I'd say that's true. Yeah. Recently, in about the past 6 months, because of the interest on the motor, we've done a little testing and machine work. And if you have a stock 66 millimeter 1700 crank or 1800 crank, or if you have a 71 millimeter 2-liter crank, we've developed a new fixture for it. And what we do with the crank, we machine a piece that goes onto the end of the nose of the crankshaft. And then we spot weld it in 2 places. And we taper that for our prop hub. Put it back to the distributed drive gear. And then our machinist matches our prop hub, the Force One prop hub, to the crankshaft. And he machines the round bottom keyway halfway in between the old crankshaft and the new nose that we install on the crankshaft. And then he deep drills the crankshaft about 3 inches to install on both. And this way, if you don't want to spend the $900 for the crankshaft, you can still use the Force One prop hub, which is probably the only way to go on that size engine, and use the stock crankshaft, which will save you about $500 in the cost of the crankshaft. The machine work to do that crankshaft is going to run roughly $250 to $300. You're still going to have quite a bit of money in it, but at least it is a crankshaft you can use. The stock Type 4 crankshaft, by the way, 66 or 71 millimeter, is a forged crankshaft. It's made out of 1045 steel, which is the same as the 69 millimeter Type 1 crankshaft is made out of, which is very good quality. If you notice on Dan engine here, one of the other things that he's added on is a dual ignition system. Like you see right here, these are the 2 coils. You've got the solid state unit that goes up front and distributed drive gear. It's actually been around for quite a few years. It's made by a company out in California. The older models of it had a little brain box that you had to add back on the firewall. The newer updated version of it, of course, which is what's here, it's just a solid state unit and 2 coils, and that's all it's needed. We can also manufacture them with a centrifugal advance in that the person will want to use it by himself. One of the biggest things with these coils of these types, which is come up and look at them later, if you look at the coil, it's not an oil-filled coil like you use on some of the later model automobiles. And what that means to you is you have to keep the coils cool. One other manufacturer in past years has a system 100% like this, and they recommend you mount the coils on the back of the accessory case. And I cannot recommend anyone to put the coils on the accessory case or the firewall unless you have them enclosed in a box with a blast to them when they're running. These coils have a critical temperature of 200 degrees. When you exceed that temperature, you're going to, for the most part, destroy what is in the electronic gizmos here up front. It just doesn't work well. Several ways you can measure the temperature, of course, of the coil with thermometers. One of the things we've recently purchased are little heat pellets that you can take to a coil or something like this in various degrees, from 113 degrees all the way up to 1200 degrees. They'll measure the temperature for you to see what you're actually running. Yeah? Yeah, that's what you got to watch. That's why it's really critical where you put the coil. On top of the engine here, they may well be exceeding 200 degrees also. If anybody has a current catalog, you notice that we're not selling the system yet. And the primary reason we're not selling it is because In the past, they have had a history of failing, and we want to darn sure that where we're putting the coils, that they're not going to be flying along and have the coils conked out on them. Especially if you're running on this system as a single ignition system only, it's not a very healthy way to go. As far as ignition systems goes, if you can stand the hump on the front of your cowling, by far probably the best ignition system for the Volkswagen engine in the airplane yet to date, still the old Bosch 009 distributor. Main objection folks have with it is this: sticks up on a KR, you're going to have about a 4 or 5 inch hump in it. The advantage of the Bosch 009 is it has a centrifugal advance in it, smoother acceleration and deceleration. Expense, the Bosch 009 distributor is under $50. With the coil and wires, you'll have under $70. With the Slick 4216 Magneto, which if anybody's bought one recently, you noticed that the FAA PMA approved is no longer on them. They scratched that off because it's not used on a certified aircraft, so they figure they don't need to put that tag on them. Yet you're still paying the same price. It makes you wonder if they are FAA and actually PMA approved. They say they are, but in some of the workmanship we've seen on condensers that come out of them, it makes you wonder. But a brand new Magneto right now, that's $530. You'll have another $92 in an ignition harness and $58 in 4 spark plugs. So by the time you're done, for the most part, you'll have $700 in an ignition system that only pushes a 16,000 spark plug gap. Stock 009 distributor with a single coil will run 28,000 spark plug gap. It has to be much. It doesn't make a lot of sense after we do it. Now, if you want to do that, about the only thing you really do is, like Steve Whitman does, they just turn the whole engine around backwards and start letting it drive off the fiber. The advance on the engine is like on a 2180, you have 20